Welcome to Bird for Joy, a show about discovering all the different ways that bird watching can bring joy into our lives. I'm Candilynn Fite, your gracious host and fledgling birder. Here at Bird for Joy, we focus on listening and watching the birds around us, being curious and learning what the birds have to teach us about joy, life, and ourselves. So grab your favorite beverage, settle on your perch, and let's get into today's episode.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Bird for Joy. If you managed to stick with me through my summer slump the past couple of episodes, thank you. I so appreciate you tuning in, even though I wasn't the most joyful of hosts. I've never considered myself a fair-weathered person until recently. It seems I've reached the point where, if the outside conditions are harsh, I don't find being out in the elements enjoyable. It seems the older I get, the more my emotions and nature intertwine. Birding has quickly become a source of happiness and joy for me. This summer's brutal heat for the past 2 months made birding, well, unbirdable, at least in the conventional sense. The truth is, I did manage to birdwatch, and I did experience some joy. I just allowed the negative emotions to cloud my thoughts about birdwatching. I'll admit, there were days when it felt like hope was slipping right through my fingers. So, in this week's episode, I want to highlight my summer superstars, the birds that stuck with me, the ones that endured temperatures over 100 degrees for 35 plus days and no rain. My feathered friends that showed up every day at sunrise and visited nearly all day until sunset. Hope, dear listeners, really is the thing with feathers. Today's episode will probably be a little bit more woo-woo than you're used to. I didn't do any research about a species of bird or a particular birdwatching subject. This all comes directly from my heart to your ears. There are 3 bird species I want to highlight as this summer's superstars. They deserve credit for showing up every day, no matter what. First up, the northern cardinal. Not only are they easily identified, not timid around humans, but they are prolific breeders, having 2, sometimes 3 broods per year. And given their young can remain with the parents up to 40 days, it's like a continuous northern cardinal family reunion around my backyard. By midsummer, a new batch of fledglings were on the loose. Suddenly, I had cardinals everywhere. Fledglings, young, adult, probably grandparents. It was like a bird equivalent to who let the dogs out. There was a lot of bickering at the feeders. 2 at the time. I quickly added 2 additional bird feeders, which seemed to help. Because let's face it, despite what the northern cardinals may believe, they are not the only bird in the backyard. Here, at the tail end of summer, they continue to visit in family clusters, but usually between 4 to 5 birds. But given many of them are still molting, it is not easy anymore to distinguish between this year's young birds and the adults. Now, you might be wondering why I chose to start off with the northern cardinal. The main reason is they are the most abundant here in the yard. I admire northern cardinals for their bold and brazen personalities. They are tenacious, fearless, and their lack of shyness makes them extremely easy to watch. And I can't forget that they are incredible songbirds. The second summer superstar is the Carolina chickadee, my spark bird. The bird I originally thought to be the black-capped chickadee until I learned of the regional line between the 2 species. And Texas definitely is in the Carolina chickadee region. The chickadees weren't as numerous as the cardinals, and I can't say that I actually noticed entire families showing up to the feeders until recently. The parent birds didn't bring fledglings to my feeders like the cardinals did. The only reason I know entire families are now showing up is because the number of chickadees has increased by a lot. Unlike the cardinal, the Carolina chickadee tells me when I am too close, or if my chihuahua sniffing out the sunflower seeds that have fallen under the feeder needs to move, by scolding us with their rapid DDD. The more aggravated they are, the more Ds we get. They are not as human-friendly as their northern cousins, the black-capped chickadee, but they are fairly tolerant of us, and they're certainly not shy at the feeders. Save for a few times seeing a chickadee flapping its wings and begging for food from a parent, I found it nearly impossible to distinguish the adults from the young birds with this species. To most observers, the chickadee is quirky, cute, and elicits a lot of joy. The third superstar species is the tufted titmouse. Though they kept me entertained this summer, like the northern cardinal and the Carolina chickadee, and showed up every day, in my opinion, they are a tad bit shyer than the other two species. The tufted titmouse definitely does not share the in-your-face personality of the cardinal, nor is it as vocal and frequent as the chickadee. But they were subtle yet constant presences in my backyard. At some point throughout the summer, I discovered they usually have one brood a year, but in warmer climates, such as Texas, they may have up to 2 broods, and if so, the parents may recruit an older sibling to help out with the new brood. One of my favorite things about the tufted titmouse is watching them eat. If they were human, they would probably be the kind of eater that only eats one thing at a time and wouldn't like their foods on the plate to touch. I love how they select one thing from the feeder, flit off to a nearby branch, hold the seed steady with their foot while cracking it open with their beak. They're a little bird with a big voice, and they, too, do their fair share of scolding me. The sound I am most familiar with is their very distinct Peter, Peter, Peter call. Like the Carolina chickadee, the tufted titmouse is adorable, quirky, and brings me much joy on a daily basis. So there you have it, my summer superstar species. Daily, I would sit on the back porch early in the morning, before the heat set in, watching the birds flitting from tree to tree, visiting the feeders and the bird baths. They went on about their bird lives. After all, they had mates to find, nests to build, nestlings to feed, and fledglings to teach. From the stretch of mid-July through all of August, when temperatures soared every afternoon between 100 and 110 degrees, they showed up. Their perseverance gave me hope that the relentless, harsh summer would pass. And as of this week, it finally has. Our temperatures have lowered, and after 2 months, it rained. I stood on the back porch celebrating as the rain poured, hydrating the parched lands. I smiled, knowing that the birds were out there amongst the trees celebrating with me. But then again, the birds knew that this day would come. Unlike me, they never doubted it, for they held out hope. I believe that American poet Emily Dickinson illustrates how I am feeling after this long, brutal summer best, and thankfully, it is now in the public domain. Hope is the thing with feathers, by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. I hope that you all have a birdiful weekend.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all. If you are enjoying the show, I would love it if you would follow or subscribe, rate, review, and then let others know about the podcast so we can continue to build a community of like-minded birders. A big shout out to composer Jonathan Boyle for his cheerful show music called Plucking Happy. The spoken lyrics were written and read by me, and the full version with lyrics will follow this episode. Until next time, stay chirpy, my friends, and get outside, feel the sun upon your face and the wind in your hair, and bird for joy's sake.
Bird, for joy's sake, when you're needing more, a new beginning, feeling lost, alone, or blue, go into nature. Stroll to the melodious tunes of birdsong. Let it refresh your soul, fill your heart, lift your spirits. Yes, bird, for joy's sake. Witness the winged wonders, flitting, fluttering, playing hide and tweet. Is there anything else so sweet? I think not. We'll save for the chitter-chatter of my own nestlings as they filled my early days, but sigh no more, for they have long left the nest, and I now strive to find myself once again, discovering new things that I do best. Bird, for joy's sake, for our feathered friends have much joy to share, and it doesn't cost a dime, only time. And I don't know about you, but I am willing to give, to have a chance to live out my days, filled with curiosity, hope, and wonder, learning patience, the art of slowing down and being fully present, living in the moment, something I have long strived to achieve. Bird, for joy's sake, and keep looking up. Let their constant cheer infect you, their tenacity provide you with lessons of never giving up, and looking on the brighter side of life. Prepare for entertainment with their quirky, chirpy silliness. Oh my, so much cuteness, happiness, and whimsy. You can't help but smile. And suddenly you'll discover worries cease, frustrations fade, chaos calms, and troubles melt away like snow in the spring. You will find yourself looking up and forward into the horizon, surrounded by song, hope, and happiness perched in your heart, feeling renewed and fulfilled. Go out into nature, take a stroll, let the avifauna rejuvenate your soul, and bird, for joy's sake.